Okay, so here's my test account. Okay, right now I am in the courses and training section. So how did I get here? It's in the learn section and under courses and training. Okay, so if you guys are familiar with our learn module, you can think of courses and training as almost like learning trees for your employees. Okay, so very similar to the layout of learning trees for your clients. However, these are specifically geared towards employees. So you cannot assign learning tree or courses to clients. You can only assign courses to employees. Similarly, you can't assign learning trees to employees. You can only assign learning trees to clients. Okay, but both function and act very similar within our system. Okay, so one thing I want to go over first is just to show you guys some of the end result of what's possible within the LMS, and then we will dive in on how to get those things created. Okay, so once again, to get to this courses and training screen, it's going to be at the book icon, courses and training, and then this will pull up the courses and training screen. Okay, if the LMS is new to you, you might not have anything here, but more likely is you may have a couple of central research trainings that we've assigned you during implementation, or if you downloaded anything from the marketplace, that would also show up here as well. Okay, so what are the main use cases for our LMS? So really the possibilities are quite endless and customizable. What I see most often is policies and procedures and ongoing staff training. So I would say that those are the two most frequent use cases for our LMS system. Okay, so we do have our tools really geared to those specific use cases. Okay, so just a quick example. This is an example of a staff performance tracking book. Okay, so typically, working in the ABA field, training is obviously hugely important. Competency checks are often embedded into your training process for both your RBTs and your PCBAs. So we really wanted to give you guys a tool to better make this happen. So this is just kind of a quick example of a staff performance tracking book. Okay, again, I'll go over in a little bit how we kind of got to this place. I just wanted to first show you guys what is possible within the system. So typically you can have things broken down by duties. You can have them really broken down however you want. For this example here, we have administrative duties. Okay, and we kind of have them nested similar to learning trees with different sections here. Okay, so you can use this course for ongoing training with staff. You can set this up similar to a learning tree for your clients in that you can take data, you can graph, you can do all those same functionalities that you're used to with your clients, but with your staff for training purposes. So for example, here we have some pre-session responsibilities. So maybe you have a staff trainer who goes to overlap your staff. Maybe it's your BCBAs who are doing the training. Each organization kind of does it a little bit differently. Let's say you get on site, you're overlapping with one of your technicians. You want to, really track their performance over time. And this is how you would do that. You would make this learning tree here. Okay, so for example, we have one goal here. Is the staff member knowledgeable about previous session data? Okay, so you want to make sure that your staff is kind of checking up on what's been happening for the week or for the month and is knowledgeable about that session data. So you can go ahead and set up a learning tree here or a branch here that will allow you to take data on that. Okay. So as you can see, I can add data here. Typically if it's a question such as, is the staff member knowledgeable about previous session data? You might want to use maybe a 0 or 1 format to kind of indicate yes or no. A lot of these staff training goals are kind of yes or no questions, but you also are welcome to grade on a score system or on a % correct system as well if that it better suits that specific goal. Okay, so again, this is just one thing that you can do. Another use case I see often is policies and procedures. Okay, so you can update your course with all of your information from your policies and procedures from your handbook onto Central Reach. And what is the benefit of that? That's a great question. One, huge benefit that I see is that you can ensure that the staff has at least clicked on, at least read through some of these policies and procedures. You can require a signature and so on and so forth. Okay, so as you can see here, I have some examples of policies and procedures. I have a PTO policy here, vacation time policy here. And again, you can kind of edit this as well, put anything in the description that you'd like. Okay, and then you can also quiz people on some of these policies. So again, that competency check, that's huge in our field, and often very valuable to have, especially for some of these more crucial policies and procedures. Okay, and as you can see here, you can also have kind of a confirmation here that they understand what they're reading. Okay. Okay, so again, these are the two main use cases that I see for the LMS. Okay, there are other things that you can do with it as well, but these are just kind of the main ones that I see. Okay, so how do we accomplish this, and what does this look like on setup? Okay, so all of that is going to be done under the courses and training screen. As with everything in CentralReach, when you're adding something new, there's typically going to be a blue button in the top right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click that Add New to start building a new course. Okay, so here is where I would title the course. For our example today, I'll do another policy and procedure type of document. I'll call it version 2. Okay, first thing you'll notice here is 3 different types of learning trees for courses and training. Okay, you have a private learning tree template, which is for your own personal use. That means it's not going to be uploaded to the marketplace. It really is going to stay in-house. You can share this with others, and you can also assign it to others. Okay, the next one here is a network learning tree template, and this means it's going to upload to the marketplace under your organization's private network. Okay, so if you have something that needs to be accessed by other users in an editable fashion, this is what you would do. Okay, again, for policies and procedures and for performance reviews and things like that, typically I suggest the private learning tree template because it's generally one or maybe a group of people who are creating it and then assigning it, and you typically are not really giving that permission to assign to or edit to a larger group. What I see for network learning tree templates is if you guys are using Learn and you need maybe a group library of goals that clinicians can then edit and individualize, that is when I would use the network learning tree template. Okay, so again, that's not really hugely specific to the LMS in general, but also kind of more applies to client learning trees and so on and so forth. Okay. And the next one that we have here is the contact learning tree. And this is for, if you're making a client program book or something specifically for one employee, that is where you would go with the contact learning tree. Again, for things like policies and procedures or staff training, the best one to use is this private learning tree template. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that today. I'm going to create the learning tree here. Okay, so the first thing that's going to pop up, sharing and access. Okay, so if you want to share this learning tree with anyone, and again, share in this sense means who do I want to share it to that they can see, edit the master document. Okay, so share is different from assign. Share is really who do you want to be able to edit and then assign this particular course. Okay, so typically you might assign or share this course with any other admin who is in charge of onboarding, or maybe any other staff trainer who is in charge of performance reviews and so on and so forth. Okay. Next, I'm just going to go through these tabs here. Okay, we have our settings tab. The availability can be set to private, which is only for this account and anyone that you share it with. You can make it available in the marketplace, which means other people can download the master template. Okay, and then you can also offer it to the public, which, if you are ever interested in selling CEUs or selling courses, that's also an option as well. Okay, the next part here is the license. Okay, so we have 4 different license types. One is single use read only. Okay, that means if I were to share this template, whoever I share it with could only use it once, either for themselves or maybe they can assign it to someone else. Once they do that one time, they don't see it anymore. Okay, and again, there's read only or there's editable. Kind of self-explanatory there. Read only, they can only assign the course, they can't edit anything about it. Editable means they are then able to edit, make any changes to any content, and assign it, again, just one time if it is single use. So for policies and procedures, probably not the best to just grant single use privileges to people. If you're going to be sharing this with other trainers or other admin, you're likely going to want to grant them the permission to have it be multi-use. Okay, again, it's up to you if you want it to be read-only or editable. I like to think of this policies and procedures that I'm creating today as kind of a team effort between a few admin members. So I'm going to make it multi-use editable. That means they can assign this specific course an unlimited amount of times, and they can also edit any content. Kind of designate who this is meant for. Not super crucial that you fill that out. Okay, if you were selling something on the marketplace, that's where you would kind of specify this. So this section here is really for if you are looking to offer anything public and are looking to create any courses to sell. This is where the instructor name, instructor qualification, duration would come into play. So I'm not looking to do that today. So again, I'm just gonna kind of glaze over those options. Okay, and then you also have a box here for tracking completion by users. Okay, so you can either set it to not track, or you can set it to track, or you can set it, this last option here, to track users and prevent them from moving on to the next branch until previous is completed. So if you really wanted to ensure that they go through a specific training process where they hit branch 1 followed by branch 2 all the way to branch 10 in order, this is what you would select here. For policies and procedures, typically you want to allow your staff members to kind of go back, visit any relevant branches, any relevant information that they may want to see. Okay, so for this specific use case, I'm going to go ahead and select yes, but I want to allow my user to navigate all branches immediately. And again, these types here and these ages here are just really more for if you were to sell this information in our marketplace and you wanted to designate specific tags. That's where these things kind of come into play. For specific courses that are unique to your organization, not really a huge deal to enter anything there. Okay, next tab here is going to be the reorder branch tab. So if there's anything you want to reorder in the future, this is where you would do it. Activity, anything you want to see as far as the history of what's been done to these courses, you can see here. So useful if you have multiple people editing one document and you want to see who made what changes and when. Okay, the export tab allows you to export this information in a Word document or in an Excel document. Okay, so it pulls all of the information that you want it to. You can have it pull the branch names only or descriptions, comments, data points maybe. Okay, and this last tab here is the assign tab. Okay, so this is where you would use, this is what you would do to assign it to someone else. This is also available if you close this screen here. So this little button here will allow you to kind of immediately go to this assign tab here. Okay. So once again, I'm just going to take a quick break here and highlight the questions field of GoToWebinar. If there's anything unclear so far, please do let me know. Happy to answer any questions that you have throughout the process. Okay, so now moving on to creating these branches. Again, very similar to client learning trees, if you guys are familiar with that. Okay, so to add your first branch, you can go ahead and use this add your first branch button here, or if you wanted to, you can also use this add a branch on the right side. Okay, 4 types of branches for courses and training. You have the cumulative branch, data collection branch, resource branch, and a library branch if you want to pull from a library. Okay. So for our purposes, for our first branch, I'm just going to do a cumulative branch. Okay, so this is policies and procedures. My first goal name, okay, let's just say I want to first talk about time off. Okay, so PTO. So my PTO policies here. Again, I have the same options as that you're familiar with learning trees as well. I want this branch type to be a page. We'll just go over this one first. A page essentially is a place for you to store text. Okay, so that's what a page does best. You go here to goal background and description. Type in any kind of information that you want to see for PTO policy. Okay, so say please request PTO at least 2 weeks in advance, so on and so forth. Whatever your policies is here, you can add that information here. You have your format options as well. Okay, so I'm going to save this as a draft. Okay, and now you'll see my PTO policy here. I'm going to go ahead and just make this branch active. Okay, so like learning trees, you can also nest branches within each other. Okay, so say I wanted to expand on something within PTO policy, I would make sure to click on PTO policy so I know that that's my parent branch right now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make this active. Oh, the branch is already active, it looks like. Okay, I'm going to add a branch, and I know that this is going to appear underneath PTO policy because I have it clicked as my parent branch right now. Okay, so say I wanted to also include more information about the PTO policy. Maybe I have a Word document already created. I can upload that Word document as well to this branch to kind of provide more information. Okay, so if you don't want to copy and paste everything over, say you just want to include an already created document, you could do that as well. And that's done under cumulative. And then I'm changing the branch type here to a file. Then I would choose the file. Like I said, maybe it's a Word document, maybe it's a PDF. I would say PDFs work the best in this case. They're not editable and easy to download and view for your users. Okay. A couple other things that you can do here. Aside from adding a file, you can also add a video. So for policies and procedures, maybe not the best option, but for something like staff training, certainly could be a good idea to include some videos there. Maybe you wanted to model something and have that video model for staff to review. You can certainly do that here. Again, not super applicable to a policy and procedure document, but again, for that other use case that I see often for the performance review, or maybe for even just a staff training course in general. Certainly possible within CentralReach as well. And in that case, that's where I would see this video branch be really useful. Okay, so the maximum video size is 1 GB. And as you see here, you can also prevent users from fast forwarding through this video. So again, really useful in ensuring that your employees are really digesting that content appropriately. Okay. You can upload a video from YouTube, Vimeo, or you can select existing resource to use something that is already existing within CentralReach, or you can just upload the video file as well. So some options there for uploading video. Okay. So for this specific example, I'm just going to upload a file. I'm just going to choose any PDF. You can pretend that it is a policy and procedure document. Again, just kind of a test example here. Okay, I'm going to save it. Oops, got to enter the goal name here. So I'm just going to say PDF branch for policy for PTO policy. Okay, so going back here, you can see my branch, make it active. And as you can see, there is a file here. It looks like it's still uploading. Okay, so that file is still uploading, but once it is uploaded here, the user will see a blue download button and they'll be able to download that file. Okay, and as you can see, the file is not finished uploading, so we'll come back to that section here. Okay, now the next step when you're creating a course, competency checks. You know, how can you be sure that your staff is actually getting this information, that they understand this information, and so on and so forth. Okay, so say I wanted to add a competency check at the end of my entire policies and procedures. Okay, if I don't want to nest the branch underneath another parent branch, then be sure to click on this title up top. You'll notice now nothing is highlighted on the left. So any branch that I create now will be at that first level. So I'm going to go here, add a branch. Again, for most policies and procedures, they're either going to be a cumulative branch or a resource branch. Okay, I'm going to use a resource branch since I want to do a competency check via a Q&A test. Okay. So what's the difference between a cumulative and a resource? Cumulative, you can eventually see some data on this. So if you wanted to maybe use it for staff training purposes, that's probably the best branch type to use. For policies and procedures, not going to be a huge deal to collect data because there's no really data collection branches here. So I'm going to use a resource branch. I'm just going to call this competency check 1. Okay, branch type here, I'm going to select Q&A test. Okay, and this is where you get to set your Q&A settings first. So how many questions are there going to be? If, again, you are creating a CEU course, you can enter the credits here. You can also have certifications available if you wanted to give some kind of certification number for CEUs, so on and so forth. Again, not hugely applicable to courses and training within your network, really just more made for our marketplace. Okay, so say I'm going to have 3 questions here. Say I only want to require 2 questions correct to pass. Okay, so this is out of 0 right now because I don't have any questions added yet. Okay, so to add questions, going to be here at the bottom. Okay, so you can add any number of questions here. Let's say I want to quiz on PTO policy. So when should you submit a PTO request? Okay. So you do have some options here as to add a description. If you need to explain the question at all, any subtext can be entered there. Okay. Then you can add the answer here if you want it to be multiple choice. Okay. You can also add another question and kind of move them up and down. And there should be a way to change the question type here. Let's say 1 week in advance. That's not the right answer. Okay, in the interest of time, I'm just going to jump towards to one of the ones I already have created. Okay, this is the policy and procedure I created previously. Okay, so this is an example of the Q&A. Okay, so here are kind of our answers. Okay, so this is sort of what that would look like to your user. Okay. So again, building this, I'll do a little quick demo of what that looks like again. Resource branch. Oops. Say I want to nest it in its own branch. So I click here, add a new branch, resource, Q&A test. And this is where I would enter those questions here. When should I submit a PTO request? 1 week before the time off, at least 3 days before the time off, or at least 2 weeks before the time off. I'm going to mark this as the correct answer. Okay, and as you can see, the questions here is updated to out of 1. So let's just say they need to total answer 1 question correct to pass. Okay, so that's sort of what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to name this branch PTO Q&A. Okay, so that's what that would look like. All right, and there you go. So that pretty much covers how to create these branches. Again, the possibilities really are pretty much endless as far as what you want to use this for. I will switch over to a more completed course so that you can see, what's really possible with this system. Okay, so here I am in the Learning Management System course that we have. So this is one way that you can get further training on this, and also a great example of what a finished course looks like. Okay, so say you were using something for staff training. This is kind of what you would do it. You have, videos here that you can upload if you wanted to model anything. Okay, so that's one way to kind of leverage the system to train your staff. In addition to the videos here, we also have these resource tabs that kind of have text. Okay, so one way to sort of, train information for staff. Okay. All right, so that pretty much is what a finished course could look like. Okay, now what I really want to go over is the courses and training screen. So as you can see here, there are several courses that I have in my account here. This is a pretty powerful screen as far as tracking the progress of your employees. So as you assign these courses, whoever assigns them, whoever the admin is to assign them, will also see all of this information for their employees. Other admin can see it as well if they have the proper permissions and they are connected to the employees. So as you can see, I completed this course, only 14% of this course. If you ever wanted to check in on an employee, see what they did, you can hit view report here, and it'll give you a report on what they completed. Okay, so super useful tool. Say you have maybe a staff training or a policies and procedures document, and you want to see, did my staff actually read it? Did they actually go through it? Did they actually view these videos? This is where you would check on all of those things. So as you can see, it'll report on, did they watch the full video? If you have any files, did they download the files? What were their test results? If you have a form, I didn't go over forms, but you can also collect information. So if you wanted to maybe put a survey or something after a course or training, you can do that as well. And all of those results will then show up here. So definitely some great tools for tracking progress and ensuring that your employees are really utilizing this course. Okay, moving back to the courses and training screen here, we also have the configure grid. So if you wanted to configure the grid and show only certain information, you can do that as well. Okay, so that typically covers most of our LMS tools today. Again, if there's any questions you guys have, happy to answer them. Additionally, if you think of anything now or in the future, please don't hesitate to let us know if you'd like to get this feature added, or if you have any additional questions about the features, please do email us at smallbusinessteam@centralreach.com, and we will be sure to help you out. Okay, so I'll leave this open to kind of collect any questions for the next few minutes. If you have any questions you'd like to have answered, please utilize that questions box on GoToWebinar.